What's up, everybody? How's it going? Today we're going to be taking a look at what is sure to be one of the new meta guns for close quarters, the Jak-12. Not really new, but I have a feeling it's going to be on the rise soon enough. Now, the Gallo and the Street Sweeper are still top in my book, but the Jak-12 is the next best thing and generally is the most usable of the bunch because of its reload speed and ammo capacity compared to the others. But what we're going to do for this video is take a look specifically at the Jak-12, and we're going to compare the ammo types available to it, which are Buckshot, Dragon's Breath, and Slugs, and see which ones I recommend using. Most of you probably know there is a fourth ammo type, the frag rounds, but they're really not worth looking into and are more kind of a gimmick than anything I've found. So we're just going to focus on the others and their lethality, and I'll give a best class for each. Now, I know a lot of people are curious about Dragon's Breath specifically because not a lot of people are covering it, so I'll be covering that and showing off its strengths and its weaknesses and showing ranges and all that good stuff. So without further ado, let's dive right into it. Now, first off, let's check out our baseline, which is going to be Buckshot. The base Jak-12 has a max damage range of about 3.4 meters. In this range, you can deal just enough damage to kill an enemy in 3 shots. Now, let me reinforce this. An enemy with 3 plates will never die to this gun in less than 3 shots. It's just not possible without stopping power. I've seen a lot of people that think this shotgun, along with the Gallo and the Street Sweeper, even the Howler and things like that, that can 2-shot or even 1-shot. And that's just not right when it comes to fully armored players, at least. Now, against 2 plates, yeah, you can 2-shot, but that's a discussion for another video. So past 3.4 meters up to about 7.1, you can still kill in 3 shots, which puts your time to kill at about 400 milliseconds with this gun at that range, assuming you get that 3-shot kill. As a note, this is when most of your pellets hit. You'll more than likely end up getting anywhere from 3 to 5 shots in most realistic applications of the gun, just because of the shotgun's random spread patterns. This is usually the case for me, really, and I always find that this gun tends to be a bit of a hit marker machine and really gets me killed quite a bit. But a lot of people swear by this gun, and it is still really good, and there are some useful ways to run it with standard buckshot. Most notably the 20 and the 32 round magazines, along with some range increasing attachments like the Marauder suppressor. The large magazine size really is what makes this gun so useful in my book, because you can spray and pray to your heart's content in small areas, and you can still have ammo to spare. But moving on, let's check out what most people are probably curious about, which is Dragon's Breath. Dragon's Breath on the Jak-12 has the same max damage range as the Buckshot counterpart, which is about 3.4 meters. What makes Dragon's Breath, though, a bit better is that it has an ability to 2-shot kill in this range. That's right, with Dragon's Breath on, you can 2-tap people up close, even with EOD equipped. This is really effective, but as you would imagine, only up close. On the other hand, though, one of the nice things Dragon's Breath has going for it is it has a slightly larger 3-shot kill range than the Buckshot version. Normally, you can 3-shot up to about 7.1 meters with no attachments on the Buckshot Jak-12, but with Dragon's Breath, that number goes up to about 8.9 meters. That's a pretty good number and is comparable to the Gallo when it comes to carrying damage over range. Sadly, the magazine size is limited to 8 rounds. This really hurts the effectiveness of the ammo type, and it means it has some limitations compared to Buckshot. You can run sleight of hand, but I found that like Buckshot, normally it still takes at least 3 shots to kill an enemy, and so it makes it even more difficult to use well because of that small mag. Now keep in mind, with this 8.9 meters, that only happens really when the stars align, because I was testing this on a non-moving target, aiming about chest level, and I was aiming down sights, which was tightening my pellet spread, which in most circumstances, you're probably not going to be able to hit those shots so accurately. But just know that the 8.9 potential is technically there, but realistically, you're looking more like 8 meters or so, especially if you hit fire. If you hit fire, it's probably going to be like 4 or 5 shots, but if you're aiming down sights, you're placing your shots well, it is entirely possible to get a pretty decent 3-shot kill range, but I just have to say, realistically, it probably will not happen, which is kind of another reason that Dragon's Breath is kind of not all it should be. It's kind of a little bit weird. And last, let's check out my personal favorite, Slugs. Slugs on the Jak-12 are somewhat of a hidden gem in this game, and not many people have caught on to them and how effective they can be yet. In case you don't know what slugs are, basically you sacrifice having shotgun spread and pellets for a large lead projectile that deals a lot more damage, with some other issues we'll get into soon. It's more of a traditional semi-auto marksman rifle if you want to think of it like that. Slugs have a smaller max damage range than the other ammo types, only up to about 2.6 meters, where in this range you can deal enough damage to kill an enemy in 2 shots, stomach and up. There is no way to get a one-shot kill with this Slug shotgun, which is the only shotgun that cannot kill in one shot at point blank, even with a headshot with slugs equipped. After this initial range, up to about 17.9 meters, you can two-shot players with full armor so long as you hit chest and up. If this is your first time hearing this, yeah, it's definitely as good as it sounds, but there are some things you need to keep in mind. With slugs, you have a slow muzzle velocity, meaning you need to compensate for that when you aim, and it can lead to some frustrating misses at decent ranges. That's why with slugs, in most cases, you should still treat it as a close to medium range type of gun. Also, they are zeroed in generally at about 30 meters, so you have to aim slightly higher than a player's head if you want to hit a headshot past that 30-meter mark. On top of that, slugs also have a bit of random deviation, or spread if you want to call it that, which gets better with bigger barrels and the choke attachments. Slugs on the Jak-12, just like with the Dragon's Breath attachment, only have 8 shots. This is another risk when you're running them. These factors all together make using them a pretty high skill weapon overall, and most players might find them a bit weird to use at first, but the potential is absolutely there, and it's as ludicrous as it sounds. The fact that you could potentially two-tap someone past 20 meters with a time to kill of about 200 milliseconds is kind of bananas. Of course, realistically, you're gonna need more than 2 shots, unless you kind of space them out and try to pick people off. So we've talked about all 3 ammo types, their niche and their downsides. Now, out of all of these 3, which one do I think is the best? So if I had to rank my preference and how to run it with this gun from worst to best, it would be Dragon's Breath, Buckshot, and Slugs being number 1. Dragon's Breath is the worst in my opinion for a few reasons. While you do get a nice 2-shot kill potential and a longer 3-shot kill range, you still end up getting a good bit of hit markers at most ranges that you use this thing outside of that 3.4 max damage range, just like with Buckshot. So while you get a faster time to kill up close, generally you're going to find it's going to take more than 2 shots to kill, and EOD can slightly delay that burn effect on players, so it isn't going to be an instant 2-tap like you might think, or a 3-tap generally. It's not a huge delay, so it's about like a few frames. And with only 8 shots, these trade-offs are good, but it's just not worth it in the end for me personally out of all the ways to run this gun. It's still good, I'm not going to lie and tell you it's bad or it's crap or it's just a gimmick. You can probably make it work as a decent secondary in solos or duos, but out of all the ways to run this gun, this is probably the least efficient. Next is Buckshot. Buckshot is sort of the middle of the road for me personally. You get good damage up close, a good 3-shot potential, and the larger mag attachments can make for some serious suppression power, which is really helpful in trios or quads. Though while you can have 32 rounds, I usually opt for 20 because that is more than enough and it does not slow you down nearly as much as the 32 round mag does. Now while you don't have the 2-shot potential that Dragon's Breath does, you can make up for it with more ammo and, well, you can spam to your heart's content. This is really nice, especially against more than one player. Dragon's Breath is nice for one-on-one engagements in solos or something, but in a mode like trios or quads, you probably want to be more of a benefit to your team with the extra ammo. And last, we have Slugs, my ultimate pick for the best ammo type. Why? Because of tremendous stopping power and great range. Yes, you only have 8 shots, which is why Dragon's Breath was pretty bad compared to the others, but it makes up for it by being more of a precision weapon, so you don't really need ammo to spam. Usually it takes 3 shots or so to kill with this. In most ranges you should use it, which for me I'd say is about 20 meters or less ideally. But the ability to just 2-tap chest and head means you can play a bit more conservatively and pick people off in just a few shots that are well placed. This is my pick, but I have a feeling most people would probably opt for normal Buckshot with the 20-round mag because of the ease of use. Slugs are by far the most difficult way to run the Jak-12, but also the most rewarding and deadly. They're really difficult, but man, good players can make good use of it, but newbie or beginner players should probably stick to Buckshot just in case. Now let's look at a few class options for each. For Dragon's Breath, use the Marauder, the Influx Barrel, 5 milliwatt laser, Dragon's Breath of course, and Sleight of Hand. Sleight of hand being an obvious choice, but the influx barrel is my go-to barrel generally because it has a good range boost while not sacrificing mobility too much like the torrent barrel does. The Marauder on its own gives you a great boost to range, about 27% on its own, but it also hurts movement speed and aim down sight speed a good bit, so just be mindful of that. Next up for Buckshot, use the 20 round mag, stippled grip tape, 5mm laser, and the influx barrel with the Marauder suppressor again. Good range, lots of ammo, and a decent sprint to fire speed overall with the 5mm laser and stippled grip together. But then last but not least, we have Slugs. And for this class, use the Marauder, 5mm laser, Slugs of course, sleight of hand, and the Merc foregrip. Since the Slugs have great range already, I use the Marauder on its own because it gives you the most range, but it also is the only attachment to significantly help the muzzle velocity for Slugs compared to the barrels and the chokes, so it usually is a go-to attachment for me no matter what. The Merc foregrip will help with recoil, which can be an issue with Slugs since it's more of a precision-based weapon than Buckshot, but you can easily swap this out for another attachment like the Tsunami stock or stippled grip if you don't think recoil is that bad to control. And that is just about gonna do it for this video, guys. In the end, I think Slugs are the way to go for some players, but the majority of players will probably want to stick to Buckshot for the ammo it has and how easy it is to use. But if you want to make Slugs work or try, you just have to give it a shot because they're just absolutely mental at times. It's kind of ridiculous how good they can be. Now, what do you guys think? Do you think Dragon's Breath is actually better here? Are Slugs as good as I think they are? And with all that being said and out of the way, I want to wish you all a happy day/night, and I'll see you in the next video.